All right, guys, on Facebook Live, let me invite some people. Be right with you. All right, everybody, we are live. It is that time again. It is Wednesday at 2:00 p.m. and we are live on www.letgoradio and on Facebook Live. As everybody comes into the show, I'd like to welcome everybody. Hi, Jill. Hi, Charles. There's so many that's come in. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I've got a lot that I want to cover today, but I want to make a real quick announcement. This show kind of is going to hit home, and I've thought a lot about this show, and I wanted to do this one for a long time, and it I give advice a lot. Now, what this has to do with the show, the title of the show today is Finding Your True Path with Cerebral Palsy. And this is going to kind of reflect a little bit on my journey to Kelly's Choice, to Let Go Radio, but it's also going to reflect on, how you know what your true path is, and that there are going to be people out there that are going to tell you things that seem like it's right, and you're going to have to go through life yourself kind of to experience, what it's about. But on a funny note, I wanted to do this just for a little bit because I did a video this morning and I had a chance to do it on Facebook, that the formerly known Washington Redskins have now got a new name. They are now the Washington football team. Now, I can't honestly say that I am perplexed by this name, and I cannot honestly say it is an upgrade to me, but they are now the Washington football team. They couldn't put anything behind it. I guess we're so bad we don't actually get a name, and we're stuck with it for a year to 24 months, so we'll have to figure out what happens. So, onward and upward, and here we go. So, finding your true path with cerebral palsy. All right, so in life, it's always full of choices. Hey, Nikki, how are you? I wanna go through this, from the time that we're very little to the time we're full-grown adults, usually 18 to 21, sometimes a little bit longer. We live with our parents. Now, in most stereotypical, I would say stereotypical, but in most relationships, I want to say this. Our parents do the best they can, and we have to remember the way they were raised. Okay, they're going to try to push us to do things and push us outside of our comfort zone and push us outside of our box, to try to get us to understand that they want us to be the best that we can be, okay? But sometimes parents make mistakes too, and sometimes parents don't know all the answers, because there is a point in time in life where Everybody has to make a choice for themselves and figure out life for themselves. Now, that's not saying that your parents have abandoned you. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not saying your family or your support system or your village has abandoned you. That is talking about there is a point in life that everybody's going to come to where they have to realize, okay, this is my life now. I have to do the best I can with what my parents gave me and what my parents made for me and the path that they carved. Now I've got to carve out my path for myself. Okay, now I don't know if this is necessarily a cerebral palsy thing, because again, I'm still learning too. I've had cerebral palsy for 38 years going on 39 years, okay? And this may be, to a point, one of the hardest shows I've had to do, because everybody at once in their life thinks they know everything, okay? There are some people that you can't tell anything to. There are some people that say, no, I got this. I don't need any advice. I don't want any help. I can figure it out myself. And that's great, okay? But the world is a big place. And when you realize if you don't have a support system in the world, or if you don't have something in the world to cling on to talk with, to go through life with, the world is a big place to go through alone, okay? And then having cerebral palsy on top of that, it becomes almost like it too big. The world, to me, at some points can seem too big. So now, let me explain a little bit about when I say finding your path, okay? Now, I was always a talking baby. From the time I was 12 months old, I was speaking in complete sentences. That's why I run my mouth so much now. My legs don't work too well, but my mouth works real well. I want to point that out. Miss Wilson just joined the show. I had Miss Wilson laughing so hard yesterday. Goodness gracious, I ain't mean to make her choke on a drink. I just said I was good at sitting down, and that's all I remember. She laughed and laughed some more. So I've always been talking since I was 12 months old. Now here's the difference. When I first my big thing, I wanted to play professional football when I was little. That was my big dream. That's what I wanted to go into, because I love the nuances of the game and everything like that. Now, cerebral palsy made that a little bit difficult, because I had to realize that when I hit a certain age, professional football probably weren't going to happen. Now, not one time did my mom ever say, you will not play professional football. Not one time did my mother ever put me down and say, you can't or you won't. My mother has always said, and I quote, you can do anything you set your mind to as long as you put your mind to it. Now that means you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want. You can believe anything that you want to believe and go anywhere that you want to go, as long as you give 100% and you give everything you got. Thank you, Miss Wilson. I appreciate that. I love you so much. Hey, Devontae, how you going, brother? I got to tell you, my mother and my grandparents were my support system in finding myself. Now, part of finding your own path in life is finding yourself. And again, this show is going to hit home for some people, so stay with me, okay? And we're gonna go back and forth a little bit to try to get you to understand. Part of finding your own path with CP or any disability or different ability that you face is finding yourself. Now, this is not going to be an advice show of what you should do, okay? I want to point that out point blank, okay? The first 8 minutes of this show, this is what I say you should do. That doesn't work for me, okay? That is not what this is about. You have to love yourself and respect yourself enough to understand that you're able to, quote unquote, stand on your own 2 feet. If you're not standing on your own 2 feet, then you're sitting in your chair doing the best you can with what you've got, okay? Now, the second part about this is it's got to be good enough, and your thoughts and your opinions and the way that you do things in your life has got to be good enough for you. Charles said this, I will be in a world boxing championship, just putting that out there. All right, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm glad for you, Charles. Good. And again, to go to that and to have that mindset is great, because that's what you want. You've got to have it, and it's got to be there in order to achieve it. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, you can't believe in anyone else. Now, some people have the ability, because they think someone else is doing better than they are, or they think someone has more than they have, or they think someone is better than them, to latch on and say, I'm going to follow this person. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that that's a good thing. And Jill, I'll get to that in a second. That is great. My mother used to say, your legs may not work right. You won't get in trouble with your legs, but your mouth, but your mouth, let's see here, is going to get you in trouble. Yeah, and again, and we're talking about what you say and what you do is a reflection of you. Now, I will say this, and Miss Winnie has said this 100,000 times, and I love her for it. Everything that Miss Winnie puts out for Kelly's Choice, and everything about Kelly's Choice, reflects Edwina Wilson. It always has, it always will. And that's something that she says and stands behind. Now, going back to what I just said, your you has got to reflect everything that you are and will become. Let me say that again. Your you has to reflect everything that you are and ever will become. Because if you stand behind, or sit behind for that matter, what you say, and you believe in what you say and what you are, there is a difference in putting it out there. Now, like I said, I was always talking since I was a baby. I was always talking. I was always babbling. I was always outgoing. I've never been shy. I've never, ever been the type of recluse where I sit in my own little bubble. I always want to be out there. I always wanted to be in the center of the room, making people laugh, talking, delivering a message. So I began to, my first big jump was to pursue a career in public speaking. So I began taking all the classes for public speaking and communications, and somehow or another I got into broadcasting. In middle school and high school, I started taking every class I could in broadcasting, and I realized, and more people said, man, your voice needs to be on the radio. You have the radio voice for TV and radio. You should go into it. So I started listening to the influences of my teachers, that I said, okay, I should do this. I should go, hello, Jody, how are you? I should go into it. And I met a young teacher at Wilson High named David Hall. Now, David Hall was the instructor for all communication-based classes. And there were 6 classes that you could take. And he actually ended up with the 7th that I ended up taking throughout my high school years of 9th to 12th grade. Now, being in a room, and there was a point that I realized that the dream came true. The dream was a realization. We had all of this musical equipment, and I was on sounding boards. Hey, Cindy, how are you? I was on sounding boards and learning to the DJ turntables and all the different broadcasting equipment and how to set up on-air personnel and all of this. So I went through all the technical stuff and learned all that. But I remember going into the classroom the first day of my freshman year, and we were sitting there, of course. I was sitting in my nice little chair, and everybody else was sitting in the seats. And I was just, hey, everybody, how y'all doing? Hope everybody's good. And there were call letters on the board. And we looked at the call letters, and I remember what they read: WSOE 89.3, Elon College in Burlington. Now, here's the thing. Everybody was reading this, and before we had all the equipment and before we had all the stuff going on, we had a ruler for a microphone. So Mr. Hall was passing the ruler around, and everybody was reading the call letters, and they were going WSOE 89.3, Elon College in Burlington. And they all just read the call letters on the board, and he got around to me at the back of the room, and I looked at the board, and I took a deep breath, and I went, WSOE 89.3, Elon College in Burlington. Got a little Woodrow Wilson weather for you right now. It's hot outside, 89 degrees. How hot you could fry an egg on the sidewalk. And the entire class turned and looked at me, and all of their mouths just dropped to the point of where nobody was doing anything. And David walked over, took his badge off his neck, put it around my neck, and said, "You're teaching the class from now on." That is what I want. That is the inspiration I want. That is the fire I want. And that is exactly what we are looking for. So from that point on, David installed in me something that at that point I didn't even know I had. And that was the ability to broadcast and the ability to get a message across. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. That people needed to hear. So I began DJing, for lack of better terms, all of the assemblies and different programs that we had in school, and my voice became known on Woodrow Wilson Radio, WWHS Radio at that point. So I continued my path of broadcasting in college. I started, writing music at a very early age. I was involved in music all the time. And all of this is part of finding the path with cerebral palsy that I'm talking about. Now, in this, remember, there's a point where your disability will try to tell you, or your different ability will try to tell you, you can't do this. That is all part of the journey. Okay, my junior and senior year of high school, I was freaking out. I was going crazy because I'm going, I can't do this, man. I'm about to go to college. I got to find a house, and I got to, and the whole thing was this big ball of energy. Hey, Denzel, how you doing, brother? I look at it and I go, man, this is crazy. I go, David, I can't do this. Mr. Hall, I'm scared to death, and I can't. And he looked at me, and he set me down, well, figuratively speaking, and said, look, man, you told me your mother always told you that you could do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it. Don't back out now, man. You got to take life by the horns and go out there and make your voice be the most spectacular voice I've ever heard, because only you have the voice that I recognize as good as it is. And when he said that, I'm like, wait a minute. We became friends over the summer. We hung out. We went fishing together there. We did a lot of things all through my life. David has been part of it. And I talk about Mr. Hall a lot, and just the influence that he had on me. Now, in choosing a path, the first, I'm going to give 4 insights as we go through this show today. The first thing I want to do, and if you guys want to take out a notebook and write these down, feel free to do so, or someone can put them in the comments for me either way. Number 1 is find out what you're passionate about. Okay? In order to choose your path, when I say passionate, I'm not talking about something that you just like. I'm not talking about something that you've just done once or twice. I'm talking about something that you love and that you know you're good at, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's broadcasting, whether it's mechanics, whether it's working on cars, whether it's working on airplanes, whether it's, the sanitation division, whatever you are passionate about. Write it down. Write it down. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. Got Guys, thank you for all of this. I appreciate the wonderful comments that are coming in. Find out what you're passionate about is number one. I love Miss Winnie. She owned it already. Now, the reason I say that, when you're passionate about something, there is something involved in that passion when you're doing something that makes you push further. And it's called the drive. Now, I want to talk about drive for just a minute, because as I'm going back to that story that, through high school, there was a point where I got frustrated. Okay? Now, realize this and understand what I'm getting ready to say, because this is going to blow people away right here. Frustration is part of the journey. Okay? Frustration is part of life. And again, Miss Wilson has said this as well, and several of you on here has said this as well. You can get frustrated, but you don't want to stay in that place. Frustration drives you to push through, and your drive will get you where you want to go. And we're not talking about a car or truck or vehicle. We're talking about your personal drive. So find out what you're passionate about. So when I realized that it was broadcasting, and that was really what I wanted to do, there are sub-paths that lead to where you want to go. Michael said he's passionate about sleeping. Okay, Mike, I get that. That's true. I never look at broadcasting and Kelly's Choice as a job. I look at it as something that I could do for the rest of my life because it means something to me, JP. That's a great point. And I love it. Now, this is point number 2. So find out what you're passionate about. This is point number 2. Research is important. So research what it is that you want to do. Find out what you're passionate about. Research what it is you want to do. You're going to have to do some of this yourself. So point number 2 is research what you want to do. You want to find out about broadcasting? You want to find out about auto mechanics? Look at schools that do it. Look at programs that do it. Look at colleges that do it. You got to understand, to really be passionate about something, you've got to believe in what it is. That passion is going to get you there, and when you're doing the research and you find out what it takes, you're going to realize whether you want to do it or not. Okay? Now, let me go forward a little bit. As I went through, thank you, Jody, as I went through, thank you, Miss Wilson, this going through, and going through these 4 things. Research what you want to do. Okay? I had a guy on last week, Kyle Russo, if you guys remember. He has cerebral palsy, and he needed to get crutches, but he didn't have medical insurance. So if you recall, he wanted to stop the pain that he had in his knees and his hips and his ankles and his shoulders. So he researched his crutches that he wanted to find and bought them himself and got exactly what he needed before he bought it. Guys, there are so many mixing boards and so many turntables and auto switches in broadcasting that you can spend $10,000 for you blink an eye. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, Miss Winnie and Mr. Wilson know a little bit about broadcasting, because what do they have? www.letgoradio, which we're on live right now at 22 minutes and 59 seconds and still rolling strong. So you have to research the parts about it and what you want to do. Now, part 3 is going to sway you a little bit, and it always did for me. Okay? Understand, number 3, and I'm going to spend some time on this one. Understand that no is okay. I was the type of person, again, number 3, understand that no is okay. You're going to hear 1,000 no's before you hear one yes. But this goes back to that true passion. Yeah, so he did the research. Exactly. Understand, number 3, understand that no is okay. And here's why I say this. With CP, a lot of us are going to be told that we can't do something. Okay? And that's a point of view. All right? We've got to stop looking at everything in the point of, okay, I can't handle this because that person told me I can't do it. That's their opinion. A no is not the end of a journey. A no is just a different path to get there. I was fortunate. I figured out my career by 7th grade. Very focused. College was laid out before I even graduated high school. That's good because you had your path in front of you and you knew what you wanted to do. But understand that no is okay. And if you hear no, but if you want something bad enough, and I'm kind of going to number 4. Going to number 4. But no is okay, and you got to understand that it may take a different path to get there, but you can still accomplish anything you want even after hearing the word no. Because you got to think about one thing. The enemy is out there and he's going to attack you every way he possibly can. Okay? He doesn't let up, because the second you let your guard down, the enemy's going to stick his foot where it don't belong, and you got to be there to drop a 90-pound rock on it and crush it and say, look, I can do this because God said I could do anything through him that strengthens me. And yes, I went there, guys. I'm sorry, but I have to because it's real, okay? Having choosing your own path or finding your own path is not easy. Life is not easy. Very few things in the world come easy. Okay? It may be easy for a little bit, and it may be, man, I'm just coasting. You may coast for a little bit, but you're not going to coast through the life all the way through. Some people depend on others and coast, and they get used to it. And a lot of people do, Mike. A lot of people here know a lot. But what happens is they get focused on the no and they draw into it. You cannot draw into no. Okay, now number 4, I want to go because I'm hitting almost 30 minutes of showtime already. This is a big one. Number 4, don't lose belief in what you're passionate about because things don't necessarily go your way. Don't lose belief in what you're passionate about because things don't necessarily go your way. So let me go on this a little bit. I tell the story of Let Go Radio a lot, and I tell the story of meeting Miss Wilson a lot. Don't lose belief in what you're passionate about because things don't necessarily go your way is number 4. But I want to tell this story, and I want you to listen to me because it means so much. 2 years ago when I started the journey with Let Go Radio, I met Mr. Wilson in a thrift store. And when I saw him, somehow or another, God changed the conversation. We got on, cerebral palsy pretty quick. And he talked about his wife being, on Let Go Radio, and talked about Kelly and the dream of Kelly's Choice a little bit. And he handed me a card and said, I'm going to give my wife your information because I'd like to, she's going to call you and we'd love to have you on the show. Now, at this point, man, I'm like, good Lord, I'm all excited. I'm going to be on the show. And I was excited, and I was so pumped that I held on to that card, and I stuck that card in my wallet, and it had the the radio station info on that time and Miss Wilson's email. And I waited about a week and a half, and I didn't hear anything. And my first thought was, well, there we go. There's another no. And I started getting into that oh man, here we go, woe is me type thing. But something in my mind, that passion said, why don't you just call her? And I fought with myself. I fought with myself. It is, man, I'm not going to call her. If she would have wanted to talk to me, she would have called me. I'm not going to fight with that. I don't got time. She ain't got time for me. I went back and forth, and I did all these things. And I had this big conversation in my head about whether I was going to call or email Miss Wilson or not. And I'm fighting back and forth, and I had to say, okay, all right, look, let me email her and see what happens. I emailed Miss Wilson, and within 24 hours, I got a reply back. And she said, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear from you. You know, somehow or another, your information got misplaced. I don't know what happened. I meant to call you, and I had your information, and it got moved or deleted or something. I can't remember what the exact was. But after talking with her in that 24-hour period, we made a meeting to sit down, all of us, and meet. And we did. We met at Pollard's Chicken, and that's a good place to meet because you can feed your face and talk at the same time. So I began to listen to the story of Kelly's Choice and what it was about. Okay, and Let Go Radio and what it was about. And immediately, and this is kind of a 5. I really didn't plan on a 5 here, but I want you guys to think about this. When your path is on the right direction, there are going to be connections that you don't see. That's the word of the day. God is going to get you through with the connections that you don't see. So understand, I know for a fact that CP can get in the way of a lot of things. But I accepted my cerebral palsy a long time ago. And Mr. and Mrs. Wilson accepted my cerebral palsy too. And because of that, and being able to be on their show, I've done 3 or 4 shows with Miss Wilson. Lord, probably more than that. I've done lost count. We've done conferences and we've done all these things. And a lot of you guys have been part of these, and you leave comments on it. And you know what? Don't lose that faith about your job in the military, because you know what? It may happen. It may happen. And if you believe it and you want it bad enough, it will happen if you're passionate about it and if you get that path that you want. Don't handle no. Don't take no for an answer. Keep pressing it. Keep going for it, because you can do anything you set your mind to. The same thing my mother told me. Now, I have the privilege and the joy of working and talking to Miss Wilson nearly every day. I have the privilege and the joy of being part of Kelly's Choice every day. And I am so thankful for that, because I'm able to get my message across. But there's something, I go back to what David said so long ago. Remember that your voice is pure and your voice is going to reach a lot of people. And he kept telling me that it was going to happen. And he said it over and over and over. And I didn't understand it at that time. I never dreamed that I would have my own radio show reaching thousands and thousands of people on Let Go Radio and on Facebook Live, and knowing that people were hearing my journey, but also relating to it and understanding that they get the no's a lot too. But see, your path is going to have bumps in the road. Okay? No path that I've ever been across is completely smooth. There are divots and dips and rocks and pine cones and twigs and all sorts of stuff. And see, this is why Miss Wilson is part of my show every week. Because every week we support each other. Now that's kind of what I want to transition into right now. She said this: when your path is in divine order, God will put the right people in front of you. Let me explain something, and I'm so glad she said it, because she segued me right on to my next point. Everybody is not meant to be in your circle. There are people that will tell you things to steal things from you, to hurt you, to pull you into their misery, to pull you into their nonsense. They're going to tell you everything that sounds great. Man, all you got to do is give me this money, and I'm going to get you involved in this investment company, and we're going to get you going, and this, that, and the other. And they're pulling you away. Think about this now. When they pull you away from what you're passionate about, and it doesn't feel right when you search it. When you search it, and you pray about it, and you look at where you are. Thank you, Charles, for doing that. I appreciate that. I want you to understand, and Miss Winnie says this all the time. Everybody is not meant to be your friend. Some people are just designed to try to take what you got and steal your joy. I've had that happen to me. Guys, and I'm sure that you've had it happen to you. Everybody doesn't have good intentions. That's exactly right. And if you look at your life, okay, look at your life as a garden. Okay, you got the right soil. Okay, you got everything planted that you need. You got to be careful of weeds, because weeds will drown you out. Okay, and I'm going to tell you this. Now listen to me, because this is important. Money is not always the answer. People say that money makes the world go round. Let me tell you something. There is something in life more valuable than money. And it's the true love of your friendships that have been there for you since day one. You guys got to understand, the relationship that I have with Kelly's Choice, Miss Winnie could ask me to jump off a roof in a Speedo tomorrow, and I would do it. Because I will say that 99.99999% of the time, Miss Wilson has my best interest at heart. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson have my best interest at heart. Everything that Miss Winnie does, hey Raina, glad to see you, sweetheart. Everything that Miss Wilson does, she does for other people. She is probably one of the most, if there was a humanitarian award for the world, I think Miss Wilson would get it, because she cares so much about the people that are passionate about what they believe in, and she searches. You got to understand, Miss Wilson is not just going to put you in there because she thinks you should be in there. She searches your heart, and she wants to find out what your real intentions are. Okay? Because if you're passionate about something, that's great, but there's a difference. Yeah, that is a bad image, Charles. I agree. I put the Speedo away, but I just, there's a difference in being passionate about something and then believing in it. You have to have belief in what you do. JP said this: when I was younger, anything I could do to make money. Now that I'm older with people, it's more often important than than a few extra dollars. Yes, that is so true. Oh my gosh, JP, what a great statement. And I realize, again, there are points that I will call Miss Winnie just to talk to her, to go through life, because support is important. If I had a number 7, that would be support is so important. Having the right people around you to support you is so important. It is very, very difficult. I don't want to say Miss Winnie said she gonna save me from jumping. Woo, Lord, I'm glad, Miss Winnie, because I'd be scared as mess. But look, it is very, very difficult to do anything alone. Okay, you've got to have the right people in your life and the right support group in your life to make something happen. Okay, and this is, I would say, if anything that Miss Winnie says that sticks with me the most is it takes a village. Every day, I hear her say it takes a village, because it is very difficult, if not, I don't want to say impossible. It is very difficult to do things on your own when you have no one. Okay, it can be done, but understand, it is very difficult when you have things, to do on your own. I look at my cerebral palsy, and the last 20 minutes of the show, I want to make sure to get back to this. Support is everything. That's what Miss Winnie just said, and it's so true. Do not let your disability take you out of the rankings before you even try. There are some people that say I cannot do this because I have a disability. To me, and again, this is my opinion, you can support it or you cannot. It is your choice. Your disability should not keep you from doing anything you want to do. And it's, I always have heard, DJ can't do that because he has. That's a great inspiration, Charles. You keep training and keep going and keep bringing them guys in, because you're a great wheelchair boxer and you're going to continue to climb through the ranks. I believe that my CP does define me in certain ways. I know my show is called My CP Does Not Define Me, and I totally get that, and I totally understand that. I also have learned that, when people see the CP that I have, and I want to say this live, they see truth. Okay? I don't handle fake people. And I want to address this, because if there's one thing I have learned in my journey, is I cannot do fake people, because I don't have time. And Miss Wilson is a no mess kind of woman. Miss Wilson don't play. She will have fun and joke around and tell me some stories. Lord, how merciful, I can tell them on the radio, but I will tell you this. When it's game time and it's time to do something, and Miss Wilson puts her heart into something, she straight goes. And if you get in her way or you try to knock her over, she'll knock you out. I am inspired by Edwina Wilson. I really am. I'm inspired by Kelly's Choice. I'm inspired by the people on this broadcast that have stayed with me since my opening minute, because when this message came about, I struggled with this because it's hard. It's hard to go through life when you want something with a disability. It's hard. But you know what? When you put pressure on cold, and enough pressure is magnified, what do you get? You get diamond. Pressure turns cold into diamonds. And see, these are the diamonds of my life. The people that are on this broadcast right now are the diamonds of my life. The people that stay with me and comment every day and listen to my Facebook broadcast and my Let Go broadcast and share these videos and help get these videos out My videos right now are reaching 2,000 views. I never realized in my wildest dreams that I would hit over 2,000 views. I'm hitting 2,500, 2,700. I'm getting close to 3,000. Because what's happening is people are beginning to see, and people are starting to see that I believe in what I do, and I believe in this show, and I believe in what is happening with this show because it is powerful. Charles said this, I get what you mean. My CP made my heart stronger, my drive more powerful to push forward. And that's it right there. That is the goal of this show. There are so many people with CP and spina bifida and Down syndrome and MS and all of these disabilities. And there's so many people that sit and wallow in their disability because they say they can't do something. Well, like I said before in many shows, my mom has always said, can't is too lazy to try. JP said this, I may not accomplish things in the same ways as others, but if my challenge is it motivates people to do better than themselves, that's a good thing. And see, motivating people and getting people to realize that it's okay to do things with a disability, and we are important as a community. We have to come together and realize that just because we have a disability it's not that we're different. It's that we're very much the same. We think and we feel and we love and we hurt and we bleed and we have a soul, but we do things differently, but we still get them done. And I think, or as a matter of fact, I don't want to sound cocky, but I know that God allowed this to happen in the way he did. And even telling this story of my journey, going into broadcasting and martial arts, which is a whole nother stem point. See, I was told in martial arts that I would never train. The first instructor I ever worked with, you'll never make it past yellow belt. Well, just to let y'all know, I sent him a copy of my black belt test from Tiger. So he now knows that I'm a black belt. And here's the thing. It's not about what people tell you can't do. It's about what you believe and what you're passionate about, and what you really want to go for. So understand that there are goals out there that you haven't even tried yet because you let people choose your path for you. And to close the show, I got about 14 minutes left. Let me say this, guys, and this is real important because I see a lot of this. Don't let other people choose your path for you. Don't let other people tell you where you need to be. Pray about the path that you want. Seek the people that are powerful in your life and that are feeding positivity, not negativity in your life and getting you in the right direction. Because if you don't, you're going to suffocate yourself, and that's not what you want. Your path is important, but sometimes you're the one that has to find it. No one can find your path for you. No one can make your path for you. You can have people in your life that support you, but understand that your path has to be powerful enough for you because you've got to believe in it in order to make it happen. You go back to the 4 things that I talked about, and there were actually about 6 of them. Thank you to Miss Jody and Miss Wilson and all the others that wrote them in the comments. You've got to believe in what you want and go for what you want and be passionate for what you believe in, because if you don't, it's not going to work. They call it a path for a reason. A path is full of twists and turns. Very few paths are straight. That is so true. If you have the right people in your life, if you have the supporting cast in your life that's not going to put you down but lift you up, you've got the right people. Now, I want to say this last thing. There are times when the people try to tell you something that are in your life that are good, sometimes it's good to sit and listen. Sometimes you have to think about what you want to do before you do it. You know, I just read that comment about Charles's 8-year-old son. Daddy, I'm proud of you helping people. See, that's truth. That's the power of the path that you choose. That's how you know it's right. You know, you look at life and you got all these ways that these paths could go. And to be honest, a show like this, you know, I can reach thousands of people, but my goal with cerebral palsy, my path with cerebral palsy, and everything that I do with cerebral palsy, I want to be real. And I can joke around and I can make jokes and make people laugh and all that. But when it's showtime, it's time to go. And see, that's what, when Miss Wilson believed in me enough to give me my own show and saw what I had, I didn't even know what I had at the time. Until I got behind the microphone again, because I stopped for a while. Okay? And sometimes you can go back and say, you know what? I took a break, but I didn't leave it. Sometimes you got to step back and go back to it. And I'm sure a lot of you have said, well, I'm going to leave it alone for now, but I'm going to go back to it. Jill said this: I really try to be the person who others look for positive encouragement while always speaking the truth in love. And sometimes, understand this, guys, the truth hurts because you got to go through pain to get to pleasure. And I say that, I wrote a song about 2 years ago, and I'm going to do that on the next concert that I do, that talked about, you know, going through stuff to get where you need to go. Life is not always simple. Sometimes life is very complicated. And I know in a show like this that it's right, because I've had 8 to 12 people on this show the entire time. And that makes me feel good, because it lets me realize that I'm doing something right. And I'm affecting somebody in a positive manner to realize that your dreams can be accomplished and your path can be accomplished, but you're the one that's got to find it. And others may be able to help you get there, but you've got to choose your ultimate path on your own. And realize this: CP or whatever disability you face is going to be part of it. And that's okay. Because realizing that path is the way it is, and I realize when I say my CP does not define me, what I mean by that, and to say this out loud, I'm not going to let CP stop me from doing anything I want to do. And Miss Jody pointed out that comment earlier in the show. Your disability or your CP should not stop you from doing anything you want to do. And you want to find out about going through something, ask Grandmaster Jack Dart about my journey and where it came from. You know, believing in somebody and believing in something shows a lot of power. And to get somebody that not only believes in you, but supports you through that belief, that's what makes life worthwhile right there. I can be in the worst mood, and all I've got to do is call Miss Wilson or Jack Dart, and I'm in a better mood, because when they talk to me, but they listen, and they give me options, and they'll lift me up when I'm down in the worst way possible. You know, I'm admins of groups because they believe in me. You know, I'm on boards because they believe in me. I'm a martial artist and a black belt because I was believed in, and I was able to push through those things that were hard and break through those barriers that were hard. So I want to leave you with this thought. Finding the way to the end of your path will be difficult, because there will be barriers along your way. But it is your choice to go around them, through them, or past them any way you can. Because remember, a barrier is just another word for an obstacle that you must pass, but the only one who can pass it is you. But you don't have to go through something alone. So remember, at the end of the day, your path may be your own, but your journey should never be alone. Guys, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in today and listening to my show. Thank you so much. Hey, Riley, how are you? I really appreciate you guys tuning in and commenting and all of the wonderful positive posts you shared. If you guys would like to be a guest on the show, please email me at the Sportsminion Radio Show at yahoo.com or carterdj85@gmail.com. I would love to have you. You could also message me on Facebook if you'd like, and we'll look at getting you put in for the show. August is pretty booked for me, so if you guys want to get in quick, because I'm starting to take auditions and things for September. Thank you guys for listening to the show today. I really, really, really appreciate it. Gosh, Jody, you're awesome putting the 4 out there, or the 6 out there. That was at the show today. Thank you for being part of the show, Miss Winnie. Always, I love you. Guys, you can catch me on YouTube at Cooking with Carter Capable Cuisine. You can also catch me on YouTube, My CP Does Not Define Me. I'm live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for My CP Does Not Define Me. I also have Chairmaster Games. If you guys have a question or a topic that you would like me to talk about, please, 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 please leave it in the comments. We're going to have a couples discussion of different disabilities with My CP Does Not Define Me. I will let you know when that show is. We are in the process of working on that. I've got a lot of guests coming up in August. Like I said, August is almost booked already. I think I have one Wednesday available. So please let me know if you want to be part of the show. And again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I always say, if you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Special thank you to Edwina Wilson, www.letgoradio.net. Also to Kelly's Choice. Guys, if you have not been to Kelly's Choice, go to www.kellyschoiceinc.org. Please make sure that you do that. Go and donate. Go and check that out, because without you guys, we're not able to make this happen, and I really appreciate it. And Jody, I've got you in. I've got to get you in on a day here. Charles, I know that you do as well. We're going to have to talk about that. We'll get you in on a day too. I'd love to have you. Thank you guys so much for wanting to be part of the show. Like I said, I couldn't do My CP Does Not Define Me without you guys. It means so much to me that all of you have stuck around this entire hour. Thank you so much for viewing the show. Please share it. It means so much to me. I love you guys very much. Guys, take it easy, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.